Blockbuster Video. Let's talk about it. So they sponsored this filmmaker guy, right? And he's like, hey, I have a half-baked idea. Boondock Saints. Okay?
Yeah.
Out of that, Norman Reedus.
Sure.
I guess Kojima watched this movie and was like, that guy right there.
No, I think Walking Dead guy watched that movie, and then Kojima saw Walking Dead.
Okay.
That probably makes more sense.
So he wasn't that early on the Norman Reedus train?
I really don't think so.
All right.
Because Kojima seems to be a star fucker, first and foremost.
Man, Kiefer Sutherland in 5, right?
Yeah.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
So
kind of.
I put off that game forever, kind of just not being psyched about that.
Yeah.
And then eventually kind of got over it and played a good chunk of it. But anyway, so... Okay. Kojima Productions shuts down. Konami stops caring about video games. Didn't they make that like bad Contra game last year? Rogue
Core or
like,
whatever?
They're just farming out their stuff.
They don't care. Uh-huh.
This is Nathan Paul. This is the Burn and Barrel. One game that's going right in that burn barrel. We brought back the burn barrel.
Just
stoked
for
up
this
some
one.
hot coals in it. Got it all nice. And
Can you
fired
shut that door? We gotta get all steamed up here.
All right, we took some PS4 Blu-rays and we just hucked them in there, melted it down, and it was somehow better for the environment
Then Death Stranding.
than the last 4 hours of Death Stranding.
Okay, we should talk about the beginning of it though.
Yeah,
Because it was
because I was having a good time.
so actually when it started, I kind of didn't like it.
Okay, so right at the outset, is
away.
it a lot of cutscenes and the kind of BB?
It's just I'm not used to like holding down the buttons to like get yourself like
Oh yeah,
just
like,
all the mechanics in it was really daunting at first.
I mean, it's kind of one of these things where it's a game arc where you get abilities that make it suck less.
Yeah.
So is that good? Because it's like, oh, I have robot legs now, and now I can walk. Amazing. Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't know why that feels good, but it does, because now you can actually play.
Yeah.
Like, it's a game. And then that center part, when you're equipped with a motorcycle...
and a truck or
robot
whatever.
legs, there's just tons of deliveries to do. Everyone's being really nice to you, and they're just like, wow, this is in great condition. Thank you so much.
For me, it's when I stole a truck before you can start making them. From the bad guys.
Yeah, I did that too.
From the mules.
I was like, wow, you can just load this thing up with stuff. This is amazing.
And then 40 hours of that.
Yeah, I was collecting materials. I was building roads. I built like the zip ties, the zip lines. Like when I got to the mountain area, I was like, this mountain area sucks.
Yeah.
I should build zip lines and it won't suck as much. So I was like committed to that for a while. The wind farm, I should have built zip lines there, but by the time it got to that point, I just didn't care anymore. Like that early area that super sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you even like crack into what this game is trying to... It's like a post-apocalyptic...
So the idea is that a big
calamity has happened.
An event happened that destroyed humanity and everything, called the Death Stranding, right?
Yes.
That was the actual name of it?
I think that's the actual name of the event. I think that event is like the world of the dead and the world of the living are kind of collided now.
It's basically like parallel universes are starting to collide, and it's causing giant like shifts or in something causing nukes.
To different times and like...
It's basically like nuclear explosions.
Yeah.
Of like space and time mixing together.
Sure. It's like light sci-fi kind of hokum to set up this kind of America that looks like Europe, like that just looks like mountains in Norway or something. Like I've seen this criticism leveled elsewhere and didn't think about it while I was playing it because it just felt
that it
like
doesn't,
Norway.
It doesn't look like America.
It's like, oh right, this is supposed to be America.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be the United States. Maybe somewhere in Denver, like area would have mountains like this, but
and it's weird because like at a point in the intro area. They have trees, and at a point they just forgot to put trees in at some point or whatever.
Right, there's that forest near the wind farm.
Right,
and then
that's the only time.
You don't really need those. Whoa.
You know what there's a lot of in America? Trees.
There's a lot of trees. There's a lot of ghosts. I hate those ghosts.
Yeah.
Like,
they ruined the game.
PT was a Kojima promise that got kiboshed by this whole Konami thing. that was the Norman Reedus appearance. Like, that's how they kind of started working together.
Yeah.
Guillermo as well, who has a role of some sort in this game.
Well, I think they were friends to begin that with, but yeah.
But they were going to work on a project together. That got shut down. Like, I don't know if that made them feel obliged to have some sort of horror component in this game, but there's just this notion of like, oh, the BTs, they're beached things or whatever, they're dead.
Yeah.
These floating dead people. But they're not so much scary as they are really annoying.
Yeah.
Like, every time I would run a foul of a BT situation, it was more just like, ugh. Which isn't the reaction to any ghost movie where it's like, oh my god.
They were scary like, the first time.
The very first situation
was
in
creepy.
The early cutscene stuff where it's like, you gotta move this corpse or there's gonna be a situation. And there's a very large cat pawing at a window trying to escape.
He's the BTs.
Yeah, BTs.
Actually, you know what? BT would be a cute name for a cat.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But, okay. The point of the thing where it tears it is like I was just entertaining all the lore and like the long-winded cutscenes that would very periodically happen.
Yeah.
Mostly because I was just enjoying the core gameplay loop past that point where it lets you drive places. Actually
building
the
roads
to stand.
Building roads is like the best part of the game.
Right. You feel like you're part of some larger project.
Yeah.
Like you connect to the internet, the chiral network. And suddenly everyone playing it, like it was kind of that notion that was in Journey where it's like, oh, someone else is cooperating with me on this crazy adventure.
Or they're giving me likes.
And you're
whatever.
seeing their hilariously silly like names at the end of it, and it doesn't match with the like ponderousness of the game.
Yeah.
It's kind of that, but there's just urine mushrooms and like silly notes and holograms and stuff all over the place. Like it's got a goofy community vibe once everything's working right.
Yeah.
But the parts of the game that are very narrative-centric don't have anything to do with that at all and are just long-winded Kojima cutscenes. And they save most of those for the final lap of the game.
Yeah. And they're bad, though. That's the problem. It's not the first time Kojima's done a large stretch of movie in something. It's
every Metal Gear.
It's the first time that I was just like,
oh my god,
what
get
are
on
we
with it.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, like especially because there's kind of optional cutscenes throughout the game where it's like the more you're engaging with the game, the more you're going to a safe house and going down to the safe house.
Yeah.
And then when you come out of the safe house, there's a little cutscene with your BB.
Yeah.
And it's got Mads Mikkelsen in it, and it's setting up some story stuff in kind of little snippets, like 20-second to a minute little videos.
Yeah.
And all of those I saw within the first 30 hours of the game. It started looping them.
Oh.
Because I kept playing beyond the point where it had more new ones to show me. So I would just be like doing a bunch of deliveries as Sam, go back to the base, and then come back up and be like, I think I've seen this Mads Mikkelsen bit. Oh yeah, no, this is the one with the wine. Yeah, I've seen this one.
Oh, the wine one.
Like, or whatever. Like, it would just kind of start looping them. It's like, oh, okay. And then at the end of the game, they essentially just reiterate all of that stuff, but just in a more cinematic mode. Yeah. Like, it's just the same story with Mads Mikkelsen and him trying to get this BB out of this facility, but now it's third-person cameras and more dynamically shot like a movie, but you're just like, the thrust of this is already known to me.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this again? And that's just like 40 minutes of the 4 hours that seem to just assault you at the end of the game.
And I kind of found it weird that, like, they build up this Mads Mikkelsen thing. I can't remember his name. Oh no, it's Clifford.
Clifford.
Yeah.
There's a chapter, you find his dog tags.
And they're building it up throughout the whole game.
With these little snippets throughout. Just like,
but then the pacing shits itself, and it's like, here's everything with him.
Here's a giant exposition of what that guy's about.
It's like, we have to finish his arc now.
Like, there's little bits of like, oh, you're in this strange battle realm. You're on some beach that has battles. What's this about? Like, that will happen maybe 3 times in the game.
And then the final one.
They're introducing, like, the combat of the game, which is not...
I mean, the 3 times are World War I, II, and then, like, some other...
Vietnam kind of situation. Yeah. Like, you're in the jungle. And all of that, just kind of... is sort of intriguing, but then I guess it just seems like the game thinks you're way more curious about its minutia than I was.
I think the problem is it has too many things going on for me to care about the minutia. Like, you know what I mean? There's too many storylines and things going on. There's
a lot of threads, and they don't really weave together into anything that I was... Like, well, that's the thing. The main thing it was weaving together into was not the thing I cared about the game, which was the kind of, hey, think about, like, you know, actually connecting with people and bringing things to people and being in remote areas and the sense of community and building something together and trying to rebuild something and, you know, all this, which is just baked into the gameplay and the online world.
Yeah.
And then all of that stuff doesn't really have much to do with fighting Higgs and a giant monster person.
That takes so long.
Just running around. I got like such a low grade on that boss fight because I was just like, fucking all right.
That was like an hour fight
and
for me.
It worked in one wonder in that the game has like this map system that tracks your routes as you play.
Yeah.
And in that awful like boss battle, it's just this constant circle strafe.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is awful. Like, didn't every player who played this battle, you're just like, yeah, that doesn't look fun. Maybe we shouldn't have this.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this boss isn't good. But we should switch it.
It's weird because if I had the option...
Mm-hmm.
all the BT stuff wouldn't exist in the game.
Yeah.
It would only be like encounters every now and then with a cutscene and maybe a boss fight.
Like periodically, Higgs pulled something and now there's a boss monster.
To really drive home that like these things are fucked. Like,
or something's chasing you and you have to get, I don't know, Mother, what's her name? Like the
Mama
out into the mountains or something.
I don't remember her actual name.
Like there's like you have to move this lady from this one area out and there's like this big monster and I just kind of ran away from it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was supposed to fight it. Like if there was just periodically stuff like that to kind of be like, oh right, the world's kind of fucked. Instead of, no, you ran into an awful monster. Oh my goodness. Okay, well whatever. My main issues all come at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Because it just starts to kind of lose sense of what it was doing correctly.
So let's say we agree on, like, let's say chapter 3 to maybe 7, you're building roads and whatever, that's all fine.
Well, yeah.
It's when you get to the mountains, it starts to tank a little bit.
Well, it just starts to be less fun because all of the stuff you've worked towards making the game more fun
is useless.
Like trucks and all these vehicle upgrades and whatever.
You never use again.
You can't really drive a car up that mountain.
No.
So you're just forced to hike up this mountain, and every base you're finding is less and less fun to get to than the previous one.
But then they add some like really fun, weird story stuff with like the dude, I don't remember his in-game name, dying every like 21 seconds or whatever, or for 21 seconds every 3 minutes.
Right, there's Nicholas Winding Refn's character
Heartman, yeah.
Yeah, who has like a fun introduction cutscene that seemed more like, oh, this is Kojima cutscene.
Yeah.
When it's working. Like, it's kind of funny, it's kind of ridiculous, it's kind of really self-serious, but there's just kind of a blend that's like, there you go, this one has the magic.
Yeah.
But that was maybe a 20-minute part of the game.
And it's in the worst part in the game.
And it's in that mountainous area, and then it only gets kind of more tedious from there for a while. But
yeah,
I mean, going on about like trying to explain the basics of the game is moot. Like there's a lot.
It doesn't matter even.
You're walking, you're carrying packages from one place to the other. It is a delivery game.
But like it doesn't even matter because that's the part we like. That's not the problem we need to talk about.
That sounds dull to someone somewhere, but fun. That's actually the best thing going on here.
Yeah.
That's the most unique part of the game.
We need to talk about the part nobody's talking about because A, they didn't play to that part because it's very far.
A lot of people bailed. It's understandable. But man.
Or like B, we can't talk about it on other stuff because like it's spoilery.
It's spoilers and people want to experience the magic. For themselves. Like, I haven't had a kind of just wet, like, dump of water on my head kind of sensation at the end of a game.
In a while.
Maybe ever? With a video game?
Oh, I'm sure you have.
Well, where it's like all that concentrated at the very end.
Yeah.
Like you've been kind of having a good time for 60 hours and then suddenly you realize that you shouldn't have done that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I walked all this way and got to the end of the rainbow and there's nothing good here at all.
So I'm going to build up to this.
Yeah.
after the mountain part, there's kind of a cool idea where you have to get across this giant tar river, like across like an ocean of tar.
Yeah.
That would kill you normally. I think that's kind of neat. Cool idea.
The solution to it's kind of okay.
Yeah.
At that point, I got comfortable with like a stealth mechanic that was in the game where you can kind of cut the tethers to the ghosts.
This is the thing, is that once you get access to that, BTs are less than scary.
They're
useless.
Actually just annoying.
Yeah, because you just murk all of them.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even a problem anymore.
Okay. That's true, but I felt okay about it.
But then you go to the next part, and I'm just like, okay, I'm at the big city, the cool part.
The last city, the most east... Like,
it's a fucking corridor.
Easternmost city.
It's a corridor with a boss fight at the end. You're just going straight through.
Which one? Yeah, like, you get to all these... There's these weird floating, like, boss
jellyfish things. Yeah.
And that was initially kind of like, I haven't seen an enemy like this in the whole game.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, you just shoot them once and they pop.
They suck. Yeah.
They're just obstacles. Like, they're not actually
also this cool city you can't explore. It's a straight shot all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's just a corridor. All the fun stuff the community has done there isn't obvious to you until you're leaving it.
Until you're done.
Yeah.
Because you have to do the boss fight
that's the way the game works.
That you described first.
Right. So then you get into the horrible circle strafe boss fight, which did kind of remind me of the Metal Gear Ray fight. And that is just like, this isn't what the mechanics are.
It's tedious.
But that at least fit the I'm a super soldier narrative of Metal Gear.
So
that was not the Sam Bridges vibe of like, get the quad rocket launcher and shoot rockets at the giant man. No, I don't want to do that.
And like,
okay.
It's also kind of weird because even though I hate it, there was something novel about in the game. Anytime you used a gun, you wouldn't have a reticle. You would have like an area where you might hit because he's not a fucking sharpshooter.
No.
So like,
there's a kind of laser sight, but it's generous.
But
might not hit.
I kind of like this idea that like he's okay enough with a tether to like melee somebody trying to attack him to get away because he's a fucking courier. But like, now
not his job.
He is literally Snake at this point. But now
he has to be solid. Like, it's like, no, quad launchers, grenade launchers. Grenade launchers are somehow better because they at least map where
the rocket. The rocket's bad.
I thought the rocket was the badass thing because I was like, dude, this is a quad rocket launcher.
And it's new.
Arnold Schwarzenegger uses one of these in Commando.
Yep.
No, use the grenade launcher because it'll at least paint a place where the hit will happen.
Yeah.
So pro tip, I guess, if you find yourself here.
And then that wouldn't even bother me, though, really. It's a weird...
it was an annoying little bit, but then it ends, and then there was a setup for a thing I thought was going to be a great finale.
Okay.
Of like, all right, it's time for the ultimate delivery. You have to go across the entire country and get this back. And it's like, okay, it's a road trip.
Yeah.
This is now a road trip. You're revisiting the game world, and that's kind of fun. You get to experience the, like, how big the world is,
especially like if you've actually built things up
this whole time. You get to kind of revisit it. I was kind of psyched for that mission and put it off for like my final night with the game, and then I sat down to do the final delivery. And there was, first of all, just like tons of little interruptions along the way that I found just like absolutely baffling in the world of like, no, so the Grand Theft Auto developers know driving is kind of boring. So when that's happening, why not have a character talk to you while you're driving? Easy enough. Boring gameplay. 5 minutes of a guy just talking. Combine them. Not so bad. Here, they're like, no, full stop. Guillermo's got to tell you something. And it just freezes and goes to like a static screen of just like codec view of him just there. Not even mouth moving. Not even Metal Gear 1 codec like level. And then he just kind of tells you things you've probably figured out by now.
Yeah.
For like... hours.
Yeah.
And then 5-10 minutes of just like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but that guy Cliff, like, he's just kind of relaying like, that BB you have, actually,
I don't trust Die Hardman. He isn't who he seems.
Turns out I have misgivings about him. It's like, there was kind of a fun cutscene with him earlier in a shower where he's laying the same information on you.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know about this Die Hardman. Strip all of that personality away and just have this like weird interruption moment in my drive.
Yeah.
So I was not in a good spirit there. And then I get to the other continent and I'm just like, all right, just want to get to the destination. Giant space whale thing just descends. And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. Drive on. you have to fight it.
That's a fight. Yeah.
Throughout the BT situation, if you get overwhelmed, these animals appear that are covered. They're kind of mini bosses, I guess you'd say. But throughout the game, they have been optional.
Yeah.
Like, you can just flee the area and you're fine. The final mission where pacing is, like, at stake with the story, it's just like, no. You stop and you shoot some more quad rockets at that whale.
Yeah.
And that really lost me. I was really mad that they made me do that.
It doesn't even make sense.
They also quietly had, like, dropped my cargo at some point. Like, all of my packages that I had, I think a previous, like, when I got sucked into a BT hole, they just kind of got thrown somewhere.
Oh.
And I had no notion, so I was just kind of like, wait, where's the delivery? You're trying to deliver crypto buyouts.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was just like, where the fuck are my crypto buyouts? Like, I had to run back across the map to get them. They were timefall damaged at this point. I got, like, a C on that delivery at the end of it all. But that boss battle, like, just pacing at the end of the game, like, the last lap of the game, they just put all of the bad, most rotten eggs they had right there for you. And they're just like, make an omelet, here you go. Like, it's just...
It doesn't end there.
And no!
There's more. So, I don't remember. Yeah. Is there the fight in Vietnam before this?
Yes.
That fight sucks.
That fight is not that great, but it shines compared to the big man battle or the whale battle.
Yeah.
Or there's like the beach battle with Higgs, but that's prior to this. That's actually almost reminding me of a Metal Gear battle. Like the stealth thing where you actually have to use your Death Strand to...
Yeah.
It's like a fist fight. It's not great, but it's like, it's kind of like CQC.
I tried peeing on him.
Did it do anything?
No.
He doesn't even have dialogue for that?
No, it was just like, I can't do that now or whatever.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Or that it's not the place to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sam will say that whenever it's not the time to do that.
I tried pissing on him.
But yeah, so prior to this, there's the Clifford revelatory scenes or whatever where... Well, no, there's the Vietnam battle. And that sort of sucks, but it's sort of like the previous two battles. So
I mean, I think all of them suck.
They're not great.
Yeah.
But they're the combat shooting part of the game. And those felt like perfunctory, like obligatory. It's a video game.
It's a Kojima game. So there's a part like this. Yeah, that's fair.
Actually, in the lead up to the game coming out, I was like, there was that picture of just like, it's Sam Bridges with all the guns he can get in the game. I was like, what? This game is about guns? Like, I was just kind of like, I thought this was about...
But then
like
Kojima went on record saying it's not a shooting game or about guns. So it's like, then why did you put them in? What
ad campaign person was like, no, dude, you got to show this? Like, I just vaguely recall that image where it was like... Because the thing I kind of just think is novel about the game, like, especially the week I was playing it, I was also playing, like, GoldenEye 64, which just has, like, this absurdity to its inventory where you're just kind of scrolling through and, like, James Bond's pulling out 2 grenade launchers and, like, an RCP-90 and an AK. Yeah. And he's just got, like, 37 guns in his pockets. This game... is like, no, if you have 37 games in your pockets, it's a giant stack of crap on your back.
Yeah.
And it's sort of funny. It's almost like a video game meta thing about the absurdity of inventory.
But then at the same time, you're shooting bullets with blood.
You're shooting blood bullets to kill the ghosts. But they can also hurt normal enemies, but it's draining your blood. Also, you can shoot normal bullets at BTs, but it's better if you shoot through a blood cloud.
Yeah.
So, like, it's
weird.
Yeah, but the novelty of that inventory stuff was real. I was really grooving that for a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of cashed everything out right near the end.
Yeah.
Leaving me just feeling, I don't know, like super drained in this weird way. I couldn't quite describe it. Like... You deliver these crypto buyouts, like the shitty beat-up ones after the crappy whale battle.
Yeah.
And then it just goes into full tilt, like Metal Gear Solid 4, sit down, I got a cutscene for you.
But
marathon.
But in this, it felt like it's weird just to try to be weird in a lot of ways. Like, it felt really pretentious in this game.
Well,
in a way that it didn't before. Even.
That's the thing. Like, that cutscene we alluded to earlier with Heartman, that seemed to, like, actually be thought through in a way. Where there was, like, there's something here about, like, the afterlife and, like, the dream world and, like, everybody has their own unique kind of beach that they go to in their minds.
Yeah.
Like there was something about that was like, okay, like this is this is an idea. This is something.
Yeah.
And then they just fell in love with it at the end, and your sister / whatever, the president, Emily, the Princess Peach, the Princess Beach, like she's there and just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and then goes away, and then you wander around in this horrible wasteland
for like half an hour.
For like you get like 2-3 minutes of credits, and there's nothing for you to do. You're just trapped in Kojima's hell. And then it stops you again, and she appears again and be like, I got more to tell you. And then just keeps talking to you. And I couldn't believe what was happening. Like, so I was just like, wow, what? This is audacious, but in the worst way.
Yeah.
This is like the most art house, like I hate my audience type shit going on.
So
in a video game where I just spent 50 hours playing your like hiking game and was really trying to have a good time.
The last time you were here, I know that you were like at the...
I was on the verge. I was probably like that thing where I left the last pilgrimage for the night.
Yeah.
Like I was like...
And I remember just saying like, you have to see the end. You'll know why.
And I couldn't... Even like knowing something was awry, I did not think I would have such a miserable time. Like just sitting on the couch waiting for it to stop talking.
Yeah.
Like and it gives you these infuriating choices where it's like, all right, Sam Bridges, what do you want to do? I'm going to put a gun in your hand.
You can't do anything with it.
Do you want to sever the connection?
Did you try shooting her?
I shot her so many times because I was like, you are what's wrong with this game. You won't stop talking.
And then it ends.
Deal with this. Blap, blap, blap. And it's just like, no, that's not
she
right.
Like cries blood or something, and then
it's
ends.
Just like a short mini like not ending. Where like, okay, not to parlay too far away, but games with multiple endings, there's like different ways to approach it. I like it when they at least acknowledge that a choice has been made and like do some lip service to that choice. Yeah. You know, this just doesn't do that. It flips you off and says, no, that's not right. And you're just like, okay, then should I shoot her in the face then? So I went in front of her and shot her a few more times. It's like, no. Okay, I'll just put away the...
Then why give me the gun?
There's a hug button.
I didn't know that either until I was like... I was kind of doing like a spin around, like, what am I doing?
Yeah, like, it's like, no, Sam Bridges loves his sister. Okay, well, she's horrible, so I am not with Sam on this.
Oh,
and I guess, it doesn't let you express that at all.
I guess also that's what I found egregious, is that all of this is literally just like, everything you're doing in the game doesn't matter, because this game is the beginning of an extinction event.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Like, she has the capability to, like, end humanity.
The game literally goes where you're the hero of time, basically. You're the hero of everything.
Yeah.
Only you can... It literally does that.
And it's like... And you have no choice but to be the hero.
Yeah.
And it was so annoying to me, because I was like, no, you have failed to tell a narrative that makes me... Okay, like, I didn't want to dance into Near World, but there's moments in that game where it's like you have a character in peril and you must go rescue them. Uh-huh. And I genuinely wanted to do that.
Sure.
And I hit my marks accordingly because the game thought I might, because they were telling their story
properly. Well. Yeah.
And it worked out. I was like, oh no, 9S. And I ran and saved that dude because I cared about him.
Yeah.
But even in that situation, they wrote, well, what if you don't care about 9S?
Yeah.
And you run away? We will make a little joke ending for that. We will actually have a little like, you thought about that? Good job. Here's a little thing for you. That's where I was saying, like, this game flips you off for thinking that. Like, they're just like, no, you must care about Emily. We didn't do a good job conveying why. Yeah. And she was kind of just one of several characters over the course of the game.
And she sucked.
Chatter at you occasionally.
She sucked.
She wasn't very interesting.
Yeah.
Fragile was more interesting.
Fragile was way more interesting.
Like, I kind of cared about delivering the crypto buyouts.
Yeah.
Like, they actually had a example of the right thing going on in their game.
And then they ruined it.
And just kind of shrugged it off. It's just like, wow, this is a really beat up, shitty box of crypto buyouts. Well, whatever. She's just here to teleport you to the real person you care about. Amelie. And it's like,
nope.
No, that you what?
Yeah.
Like, were you not? Did you like? It's a game where it's like, why would I do audience testing? I know the story I'm telling.
It is
like there's no like actual consideration of what people are responding to and liking.
So
it's just no. This is the tale I will tell. Whether or not it is worth that, this
is the reason why I'm saying Kojima needs a handler. He needs somebody to tell him no.
And I wouldn't have thought that. Like, that's criticism that's been leveled at David Cage for years. I was just like, that guy needs a co-writer. Because that guy isn't good at this either.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, like, him going off the deep end and Kojima going off the deep end, like, it's just kind of different levels of tragedy. Because those, like, the Indigo Prophecy and that kind of stuff, it's always kind of like, it's kind of fun narrative games. But I didn't care about them the same way I did, like, the highest points of Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So to have this kind of just flounder about at the end and just, like, okay, so there's the cutscene thing. There's this cutscene beach. They force you to do this. You see every credit in that game. And then there's more cutscenes.
Yeah.
There's just, now Die Hard Man's talking to you for 20 minutes.
So...
Now there's the reiteration of the Mads Mikkelsen story.
My big problem with the beach.
Yeah.
And so I streamed this whole game.
Okay.
And I remember at that part just being like, you didn't earn this ending. You didn't earn me sitting here contemplating because I tried to kill her. I tried to end it my way. You forced me into purgatory.
Severing the connection, which I did not want to do.
You forced me into purgatory. So, like, you didn't earn this art house ending you're giving me.
No.
This is bullshit, and I hate you.
And there's, like, earned of sorts contemplative moments just organically in the game.
Yeah.
Because you just come across, like, a cool valley or, like, a mountain peak or something, and you just kind of want to hang out.
Yeah.
And, like, a low roar song plays. Like, you know, like, there's these moments baked into the actual game, and then they're just like, they might have missed it, though. Or something. Like, somehow the game's, like, not certain you got it.
Yeah.
So it just kind of really heavy pushes down on you right at the end and, like, forces you to sit down and hear it tell you its piece before it will leave. And it's just weird.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on. Like, there's the beach, there's the credits, there's more cutscenes, there's more talking, there's more monologues. And it's just so dry.
It's bad. Like, it's so bad.
And yeah, it's bad, but in a way that I have not seen outside of, like, movies. Like, Cannes Film Festival, 10-minute standing ovation, like, Lars von Trier business, you know?
Yeah.
But he'll make you sit for 2 hours and 45 minutes to waste your time. This is 30 times, like, 20 times longer than that. And
yeah.
Because of its mechanical nature, I wasn't feeling that time.
Right.
Until the very last statements it had to made with me walking out the door.
It was the last 20 hours for me.
Like, just that kind of imposing house guest kind of sensation I had of just like, oh no, I was really having a good time. And then it just had to go and spoil it. I mean, to be fair, you could probably skip all of this shit. Right?
I don't know.
Because, like, actually, that was the thing I didn't even realize during the mechanics of the game, and I forgave that. All the stuff in the safe room where it's like, go have a shower, go drink a Monster, you can just skip those.
Oh, at some point I did.
Yeah. I didn't know that until I watched a video of someone else playing it, and I was like, oh shit, you can skip the drinking animation? Well, I'm going to do that for the rest of the game. Yeah. Because I've seen it 40 times.
You know what you couldn't skip until, like, today, basically?
Yeah.
The BT, like, scary things are happening.
So every time you would enter an area where the ghost enemies were, they would stop everything to kind of let you know that was going to happen. And your BB, which is this, sorry to just bring this up 40 minutes into the conversation, there's this fetus attached to you in, like, a little jar. It makes sense. Yeah. It warns you when the ghosts are around. It activating would be like a 20-second little cutscene that you just had to deal with every time. Even if you knew, of course, this is this part of the map. I always drive through here. I need to drive through here to get to the city. There's always BTs here. Why are you doing this? Like, if anything, that reminds me of, like, I think Skyward Sword had this glitch where every time you start a new session, it, like, seems to forget all of the items you've picked up in the game.
Okay.
So you'd pick up like a Deku nut or something. It's like, oh, hey, this is a Deku nut. You use this to stun enemies. And it's like, yeah, this is the 60th one I've picked up.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But that's like 2 seconds, and it's some item.
Yeah.
This is like a 20-second thing every time you see a Goomba. Like, it's just like, oh my god, that monster could kill Mario.
Yeah.
You better watch out for that guy. It's like, I get it. I know. It's not a problem.
The most annoying thing about them patching it out where you can skip that is, like I was saying before, I thought that was hiding a load. So I was like, okay, I can kind of forgive it.
There's this second layer to the game where there's these invisible enemies. It has to like slide that in over.
That's what I thought, right?
Yeah.
But it's not.
You telling me that, it's like, oh, maybe they are just pulling some trickery. It is PS4. It's kind of late in the generation.
But no, apparently it's not. You can now turn that off.
Patch that out. We didn't realize. Again, we didn't take any user feedback. We didn't know people were losing their minds every time this happened. So, like, there seems to be mechanics in the game that are very much designed to make you lose your mind.
Yeah.
Like, every time you fall into a pit of BT, they just drag you 300 meters away from all of your packages, and you have to deal with like, some shitty monster. But you get used to that, I guess. Although the one I never got used to was occasionally I would get pulled down by BTs and it would just be like, game over.
Oh, wow. I never had that happen.
What? Why? Oh, yeah. The BTs were gold.
Oh.
What? What does that mean? I don't know. To this day, there was just periodic times where the game just like ended instead of letting me just continue. And I don't know why. But I put up with all of that because I wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
So how do you feel about these criticisms have been levied at Kojima, and he has literally just gone on record saying American audiences just don't get it.
Like European audiences are a little more artistically inclined, you know.
Literally,
they kind of get it. I know. I've seen this. That's the thing. Like, unless he's fixating on something where it's like he assumes people think there's not enough guns in it or there's not enough fighting.
That's not none of that's a problem.
No, the gameplay you've made
is fine.
Has a real quality to it. Like, there's something really actually like it's fetch questy as hell, but somehow I didn't mind. Like,
it's still fun.
Like, you know what? I want to hike over there. I want to do that. I want to connect the network. I care about that. And then there was just this like side load of this other angle on the story with these siblings and all this kind of stuff. It was just like, oh no, I don't care about that at all. Like, yeah. And just not understanding that there's kind of components of his narrative that just aren't paced well and just aren't like, and just are incredibly condescending.
Sure.
Like that the game just seems to kind of treat you like an amnesiac at the end of the game and just tell you things again. Like, that's what I was saying with Guillermo, just seems to be there to kind of make sure you get it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you might not have read those side emails, and indeed, I stopped reading them because they're so damn many.
Okay, but...
but then he's just like, all right, so here's the deal with Cliff. It's like, I got that.
Yeah.
Here's the deal with your BB. Your BB is actually this person. Yep, I know. That was evident. Lou.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a girl.
Yeah. Like Metroid.
Yep. Whatever.
Samus was a girl. Lou was a girl.
What is the final line? It's like Louise.
Yeah.
It's something.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But like the game condescends to you the whole time because they'll give you that lore dump of like, okay, this is what this person has to say about the scientific whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you'll also get an email that says literally the same thing in shorter form. There's so many times like, where the game explains the same concept
here's
5
what the
times.
timefall is, like, but it's some guy writing you an email.
So, like...
Or the interviews.
If you read the interview. If you read the interview, it's the full breakdown, which I liked, actually. I liked the huge text thing.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the email, it's like, hey, lol, did you notice time's falling? LOL, heart. Like, fuck off.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
That has been stated. But
make sure you use a repair kit. It's like, yeah, I read that and, like, I understand.
Dude, where can you use repair kits?
On the containers.
Okay. I don't think I really use them very well.
Okay.
Like, does it only fix the exterior?
Yeah.
Right. So if you've damaged the innards,
you're fucked.
You're done. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So,
I think that's why. Like, the one time I was really like, oh, fuck, I want to fix this. It was like, no, you can't.
Oh, but it's so satisfying. So if you have all these rusty containers, it's literally like an area of effect spray, and they all just, like, pop back into life.
That's pretty dope. I did have rusty containers on my back, and I was really bummed out. Yeah. So, again, yet another cool little mechanical thing in the delivery component of the game.
Right.
Like, if this game just cut off the ends and was just the center, like, that's the thing. Normally, I would, like, the good vibes I had at hour 30, I was kind of hoping there was, like, you can keep playing at the end of the game.
You can.
And you can, but at that point, my patience had been, like, beaten to crap.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, fuck off. Like, I want to play anything else. I'm done.
Uh-huh.
I didn't, like, uninstall it, but I was just like, yeah, I need a lot of space from Death Stranding now. They just kind of really got weird there at the end. Like, and not in a, like, oh, it's David Lynch, it's so weird. Like, it was just like, no, it's not that weird. Bad. Like, it's barely, it's like one layer abstract. Like, it's not that crazy. It's just long-winded about it.
Yeah.
And it's got a cool aesthetic look and everything, but just being forced to stare at it with no, like, no, it's even like, so Metal Gear, famously long-winded, R3, zoom in, fuck around with the camera.
Yeah.
The entire game. This has that sometimes, but not during these insufferable cutscenes. Yeah. When I was like, oh, fucking whatever, I don't care about this. The player cannot express, I don't fucking care about this, in any way on their joysticks other than, like, walking over to the fridge to get a beer, which is what I did.
Yeah.
And, like, just sit with my cat and be like, what do you think about this? Like, just whatever, you know, like, just...
Honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves in, like, any game is if you're going to give me the feeling like I have agency on how... I don't need agency in an ending. I don't. If you have a scripted
thing,
perfect.
Fine.
Awesome.
Let me see it.
If you give me a gun and say you can shoot this lady or not, I'm going to make that choice, and you better have a thing for it.
Like, other games have presented, like, other games, shitty games. Alone in the Dark, 2008, on Xbox 360 has that moment. Late in the game, there's, like, a shoot or not shoot choice moment, and it has an ending associated with it. Like, expectations have been set in that specific setup. Call of Duty has done this. Like, there's just things that are written, and it's like, oh, he's breaking the rules. It's like, no, he's just fucking flipping you off. Like, he's just pretending to give you a choice. Like, it would be like if, like, it's like the crappy dialogue choices in Nintendo games where it's like, oh, hey, do you want to hear about the ocarina? No. All right. Well, you really need to know about it. So, do you want to know about it? Like, it just kind of, why did you write this?
Do you understand?
Why did you bother writing this little circle loop here where it's like, yeah, Link doesn't care about that. Like, it was like that, but way less intuitive. And it's like, no, you have to use the hug button. It's like, fucking, no. The last thing I want to do is hug this lady. And you're making me do it. So, yeah. And, okay, the gun does have a plot. It's the blood in the gun helped him trace where he was, and his crew found him, and that's kind of fun. But I don't know. Like,
it would have been a lot funner if it didn't take me half an hour of literally staring at the screen.
Was it something like that? Because it felt forever. Like, it is
I'll see if I can find it.
And fake ass credits. That's a video game thing, specifically a Japanese video game thing. Like, Suda51 has done that, where it's like, credits and No More Heroes, and you're like, really? That's a fucking ending? It's like, no, you dummy. There's 2 more bosses. It's like, oh, great. And you feel cool about it.
Yeah.
But this is just like, no, just sit through this again. And, amidst all these cutscenes, then there's the exact same list of the exact same people in, like, movie credits format before the Louise thing.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to sit for, like, 10 more minutes
for another
to read the same people that you had to read because you were in an interactive environment. So what else were you doing? Like, oh, hey, we're watching Paul play this in the past.
Okay, yeah, this is 100. This is 1 hour and 18 minutes. Oh, is this after the, like, big?
I think this is after the credits. Okay. This is President hard man talking at length about a thing he's guilty about.
So this segment's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I felt like this game, I didn't like delve too hard in like the pre-release stuff. Like past a certain point, I stopped watching E3 cutscene. Like there was the hype stuff coming out of E3 every year, and it was like, Kojima's making a new game. I'm into that. I'll check it out. Just kind of put it on the wish list. Didn't think about it, and even going in with like, I don't know, somewhat muted expectations, I still felt it just found a bizarre new way to be really, really rude to its audience.
Yep.
And not in a like, what's that director? Michael Haneke? Like, funny games? Like, he directs movies that are deliberately kind of abrasive to the audience, but there's like, I see what you're doing. You're playing with the genre convention. This just felt like it just had no respect
at all
for your time.
Okay, so
Princess Beach.
I'm comfortable saying at 2 hours 18, it's a half an hour
of just running around
purgatory.
This like gray zone
with some like talking in between. Every now and then.
You can move, but yeah, pretty early in this experience.
So I actually try running over the mountain, but it teleports you.
Rewinds you. Yeah. I tried running into the water or running up the beach, and it's just like, it just keeps resetting me. I'll just fucking sit then. Like, that's what I did. Past a certain point, I was like, all right, like, this isn't even a real video game. Like, dude, it's like, do you remember in Assassin's Creed 1, when it's like loading a new area, you're Ezio and you can just run around in this void?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, that's really dope. We should make you run around in that void for 30 minutes while we talk to you, is like the idea here. And that's a bad idea.
It is.
This editor man we've invented should be like, hey, Hideo, don't do that.
Yeah,
that'll really mess up this game for us. I don't think that's what you're trying to say here.
This is legitimately half an hour long.
Like, it doesn't need to be enjoyable, quote, 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 in the way like getting a sick headshot in Halo is, but you gotta give him something, man.
It's literally half an hour of purgatory.
Yeah. And
dude, fuck this game.
Maybe that's what Sam is going through, like, but that's the thing. I think because at that point they basically like severed any connection between what I was thinking and what Sam was thinking.
Yeah.
That Sam just wasn't me. He was just this annoying character now. Like, he's just Norman Reedus now.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there with Norman Reedus and his sister, and I'm just like this third wheel in the room, and they're talking.
So what if they earned the choice, you wanted to save her, and you did.
Sure.
And then they gave you that consequence. It would be kind of neat. There's a way you make this good.
It's like, I have invited this suffering, and I chose to. Like, again, in like a game where you're actually invested in the characters, like if there was some like weird, fucked up, like you gotta like leave the PlayStation on for 6 hours, but then 2B comes back or some fucking thing. Yeah. Like there was like narrative buttons that could have been pushed in that game. Or like, I keep talking around Nier 1, but there's a thing where like essentially the delete your save mechanic in Nier 1 is to save a character.
Right.
And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to save that character. I care about that character you wrote. And I would, like, I'm done this game. I've finished everything. I got all the swords. I will delete my save as like a weird meta-narrative, me in the real world, sacrifice to the video game to save part of the video game. And I was like, that's fucking genius. Applaud Yoko Taro all day. And this is from, like, Hideo's the guy that was talking about, like, yeah, there's a video game I want to make where if you get a game over, the disc melts or whatever. Like, you can't play it. And it's like, yeah, there's something to this, like, weird next level, like, swapping the memory cards. Hey, go look at your CD jewel case to get the code.
Waiting a week for the old man sniper to die.
Exactly. Like he's had cool ideas.
Yeah.
But this one, he just kind of forces on you. And it's like, I don't care. Like, if there was this weird, like, other thing for players that care about Amelie, and there's this, like, half-hour thing you can do, and that's an ending branch, it would be like, okay, that's weird.
And like at any time of that purgatory, you can leave it and she's dead or something.
No, you have to sit it out. And it's like, okay, that's really weird, but that's a choice. That's a thing you could involve me in, but it just forces you. So it feels weird. Like it's like we're not there. I don't feel the same way about you, Death Stranding.
I'm gonna be real. Even if they made it so that I shot her and now I'm stuck in purgatory because how the fuck am I getting home?
Right, you severed the connection.
That's fine.
And it's like, oh, fucked up, man. I really fucked up Sam's future at the end there or something.
That's fine.
Wow, that's weird. Yeah, like, there's ways it could rug pull and I would feel like, oh, you got me. But that wasn't this. This was like, what are you doing? Why are you peeing on my rug?
Yeah. Bad dog.
Yeah.
I hate you now.
Total Lebowski kind of stuff. And you just came in my house, this nihilist.
It tied the room together.
Yeah, it really did. Sorry, we're on something. Like the Coens fuck around. They don't care sometimes too. But like it's a movie and them fucking around can be fun.
Yeah.
Like this just like it's not that it's playful and fucking around. It's that it's like, oh, it just doesn't get it. Like it just doesn't get what I was feeling, and it just doesn't care. Like it just, man. So it was still on my top 10 list of just weird ass stuff, and I hadn't finished it yet when I made that list.
Yeah.
But I'd still like it was still like there was this sweet zone where I still might put it there, but it's like this giant asterisk next to it of just like, oh, don't play this. But like a friend of mine who's like more like, oh, he just got a PS4, he's playing video games, loving Red Dead. Just like, yeah, what's Death Stranding about? It's like, don't play that.
So this is actually a thing I've been talking about.
Like, I was describing it, and he was losing interest, and I was fine with that, because it's like, yeah, no, it's fucked up, man.
Like, I know you've been listening to here and there some top-down, but, like, my basic thing was, John needs to play this as somebody who is into video games to see how it is mechanically.
Sure.
I don't recommend this game for literally anybody else.
Like, if you're looking for some entertainment, you love Boondock Saints or something, like... No, dude. No. Like, you know, I love Drive, that movie. I heard Nicholas Winding referencing this with his muse, Mads Mikkelsen. Don't play this. I love Shape of Water. Don't play this. Like, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not that. It is like, you know whether you need to play this or not, and maybe you should just get that fan sub of, like, Police Knots and play that.
Sure.
Like, there might be better ways to get some Kojima than this one, because, man... Or just turn it off after a while. Like, I don't know how to recommend not completing a game.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, like, maybe treat it like a Her Story and play until you're satisfied.
And then you're
just
done.
Walk away. And don't worry about it, man. You didn't miss anything. Like, the end, the pot of gold, it's empty. Like, someone got there already and took it. And his name was Kojima. Like, it's just... I don't know. I don't feel necessarily like, oh, Sony got conned or we all got conned or whatever. Like, this is what he wanted to make. But, yeah, like if I don't know if some key creative team member from Kojima Productions back in the day wasn't missing there anymore.
Somebody that used to say no to him.
This would be like, no, we still need to tell a story. Or like, whatever. Like, we need to... People won't go for that.
Do you feel this is a thing where, like, Sony scooped him up because they were stoked?
Yeah.
And they don't want to say no to him, where obviously Konami didn't care. They're like, no.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, like, it's like, was there more yes men this time than ever before?
Easily. There had to have been.
Maybe. But I just, in previous times, I never got, like, the necessarily pretentious vibe. The way, like, it's like, oh, auteur, game maker, Metal Gear goes on and all this, ruminating about war and all this. I never felt totally outside the bubble on it before. Whereas this, like, forced me out right at the end.
I agree.
And, yeah, it was just a bewildering...
I'm so glad somebody else finished this game to talk to you about it. Fuck.
I couldn't not finish it. I was really captivated for a good
And you were close when we last talked anyway, so...
Yeah. But that last night, like, it's like... 2 weeks of playing it nightly, and then just like day 14, just like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, total flip. I don't know.
It's like going to the fair and then shitting your pants on the Ferris wheel. Like,
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
My thing's ruined now.
Right. And it's like, but the thing is, but you had a great night at the fair.
Yeah.
until that. It was the last ride you went on.
And then shit your pants.
Oh, and it's like, well, that's all you're going to remember now.
Yeah, the drive home with...
terrible ending.
With the drive home with the shitty pants.
Yeah, that's where it's at. And it's like, well, all of that cotton candy and everything, like, I'm just regretting it now.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed great. And it's so hard to go back like 3 hours in your mind when you were just deliriously having a great time.
But now it stinks like poop in my car.
Anymore. It lost all of the...
I'm never going to get it out of them.
It's a perfect analogy. So watch Stan Brackage's short films. Like he's driving in his car with his family.
Yeah.
It's a lot like that. I fell asleep watching that in class. This is sort of summer.
Yeah.
No, it's like an experimental film class, but just like in the worst way. Like, just like, no, this isn't like mind-bending vision. This is just total self-absorption or something. Like, it just...
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. Like, not even, like, failing to convey what it's trying to convey, but so self-conscious that it will fail to convey it.
Yeah.
That it's, like, really
desperate.
telling you. Like, it's just staring right into the lens and just being like, listen, Marxism, and just talking for 5 minutes. And you're just like, thanks, Jean-Luc Godard. What are you doing? It's like, well, he's not trying to win an audience. He is an elitist filmmaker writing the cahiers du cinema.
And that's why
he doesn't give a fuck about you.
That's why I hate him now.
Yeah, I that's how I would periodically feel about being forced to watch a Godard movie for class. That times 30 for this video game, because it's 60 hours.
And you're invested into it. And you have to do it.
I picked it up at the Criterion store myself, man. I was like, fuck yeah. And then it happened. So I don't know how to end. So I'm just going on with analogies that don't quite fit.
I guess
I got graded on the Great British Intelligence Test. I'm not good at verbal analogies.
I guess it's in the barrel.
I think it's in the barrel. Yeah, it's just melted goop now, which, you know, maybe we can reforge into something else, but I don't know.
I don't really tar
at this point. Yeah, just black gloopy tar and just throw it in a whale. And God.
All right, fuck this game.
Boss monsters. You can't kill enemies or else they'll explode. I didn't even have that happen until like hour 55 when I was just fucking done with this valley full of dudes. I was just like, fucking out of the bullets, whatever. And just murdered like 6 dudes. And I was like, oh, you fucked up. They're all gonna explode. And I was like, fine. Whatever. This whole valley's gonna be a crater. I don't care. And I just like left. Like there was a time earlier in that game where I would have been like, oh shit, this is what I'm doing for the next 2 hours. And I'd be getting my truck, loading it up with corpses, driving to the infirmary or whatever, like the incinerator.
Incinerator, yeah.
At that juncture, I was just like, nah, just get me to the end. We're done. And then that was it. So.
You know what else is done?
This podcast.